What a wonderful world.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Real. I'm so excited because I am finally here with Jordyn Woodruff. I feel like it's been such a long time coming.
It has been.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I know, I'm so excited. I feel like we've been wanting to do like a swap for so long.
Yes.
First of all, I do this with all my guests. How did we meet?
Was it Eli Rallo's book?
I think that's how it was, right?
Yeah, because we were mutuals on social for a while. But I don't remember how that came to be.
How did you meet Eli?
I think it was one of those things where it was just like two girls in New York following each other to support.
Following each other.
And Eli's like one of the most kindest people ever. And she's such
the
a girl's
best.
girl.
Yes,
so
she is.
She like commented one day and she's like, if anyone wants to come to my book launch, I was like, sign me up. I want to support you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's truly the best. And when I met you, I always like knew who you were from like social. But when I met you, I was like, oh, she's so down to earth.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to find people like that. And I felt like you were very much like the same vibe as me. Like,
yes.
Very, like down to earth. You like get it and don't care about the scene too much.
And I remember, I think I maybe started following you because you and your sister during COVID.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. That's like TBT.
Because when she was at Eli's book thing and I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, I'm fangirling over your sister too. I was like, I haven't seen you guys together in so long.
Oh my God, I know. People don't realize we're sisters, which is the funniest thing because I'm like, or they think it's like the same person that keeps switching hair colors.
I'm dead.
Like what?
You guys do have very similar faces, but she's like a dark brunette.
Yeah.
And you're blonde.
She's totally and so much younger than me, like totally different. But yeah. Anyways, when did you move to New York? Like, when did you get started with all of this?
I moved here 3 years ago, September 3rd, 2021.
So then how did you see us during COVID? Where were you?
I was in Minnesota. So I hopped on TikTok during 2020, like right when it was booming. And I started doing pop culture stuff. Like I was like doing like all the tea on like Bryce Hall, the D'Amelios, Addison Rae.
No way.
While I was working like my corporate insurance job. And then I just started to grow a following through pop culture. And I was like, I have to get out of this. I was like, I don't hate Minnesota, but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I hated my job. I would like cry every day.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I need to move to New York. I need to get out of here. So I like one day just quit my job, found an apartment, and then got like a digital media job in New York City.
Wow.
So I think I just saw you guys on TikTok.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go back even more. Where'd you go to school? Like, how did you even get into, like, go all the way back? Like,
I know that was very fast.
No, I just want to dive in. Like, I need to know how this all, like, came about because insurance job, like, that couldn't be more different from where you are now.
It was a very dark time for me because I was born and
Like,
raised.
I don't want to talk about it, actually.
No, literally, I'm like, that seems like so long ago, but it really was only 3 years ago.
That's so crazy.
I know. Born and raised Minnesota. College was North Dakota.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so very Midwest. And then, I literally jumped from North Dakota back to Minnesota 4 years, like very much so corporate insurance with old men every day in the office.
Oh my God.
I had to wear like pretty much what girls have to wear on Wall Street, like not like a full suit, but like dress pants, blouse, heels, hair like this. No, I did. Like,
because I'm not even saying it to be funny. Like that environment, a bunch of old men.
That's where I like really learned that what you see in the movies about women getting sexually harassed in the workforce is so real. I'm so grateful that nothing horrible happened to me, but I had coworkers who were like, yep, had to file a lawsuit with HR at my old job, so I'm here. And I'm like, okay, so this happens a lot.
Yeah. That is so crazy.
And the men are gross.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So when did you decide to get out and how did you get out?
I think it was like, I don't know, probably like 2 months into COVID. I was like, I'm never going to download TikTok. But then my best friend was like, just do it. It's so fun.
There's always one person that's like, you just gotta like get on it.
She's like, I want to do the dances with someone. So I was like, fine, I'll download it. And then I just started posting. I think it was like May of 2020. Pop culture stuff because I had always wanted to do like e-news or Good Morning America. I very, very obsessed with famous people when I was younger. And then I was like, wait, I can kind of do this. Like no one's going to see me. No one's going to make fun of me because like in Minnesota, it's not socially acceptable to be on social media.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't tell anyone. I was like, I'm just gonna start posting. I think around like 8,000 followers, which like back in 2020 was huge. I mean, it still is huge, but like that was huge for me. My roommate finally was like, are you posting on TikTok? And I was like,
my God.
Someone found me.
Oh my God. So she didn't even know.
I didn't want to tell anyone. I was so nervous.
I don't blame you. And you're right. Like at that time, you could kind of be more low key about it too.
Yeah.
Like, not as many people were on the app. Like, but then the algorithm, she caught you.
Yeah, literally. And then, because I wasn't seeing anyone, this was like, Minnesota was so like harsh about the rules.
Yeah.
So then people started finding out, and I did it for a year. And then I remember literally one day I was like in my car, and I was like, I have to get out of here.
Oh my God.
And I just like started interviewing for New York jobs and apply. And then I found a job that was remote at the time because of COVID, but they're like, we just need you in office by October of 2021. So I was like, I got this.
So what was it?
It was a digital media job where I worked with, I was like working at an agency, but then I would work with like HBO Max to help promote their new movies.
Gotcha.
Horrible job. I worked so much. I made literally no money. Like less than most people make out of college.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. It was the one time in my life where I was very nervous about how I was going to like get by financially.
Ugh. I feel like in the beginning, that's how so many people feel. Like you're at a shitty job and like, you're like, this isn't even paying.
Yeah.
Well. Like, what am I doing? Like, at least, like when you find a shitty job, at least you hope that the pay will be good. So it'll help you keep going.
Yeah.
But when it's all bad, that's so hard to like have the momentum to continue.
Oh my God, especially moving to the most expensive city in the world.
Yeah.
Like Minnesota, very, very affordable.
Yeah. I actually have a close friend that's from Minnesota. She was just back there.
Wait, no way.
Yeah. Do you know Maddie Richter?
That last name sounds very familiar.
She lives here. She's like one of my best friends, and she's always talks about Minnesota. And I'm like, I don't know any other bitch that's from
Oh my God,
Minnesota.
I never meet people from Minnesota. I'll have to look her
you
up.
have to meet her. She's the best too. She's wild.
Because are you from Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like amazing. She just left. She was at Shadow for many years.
Okay.
Like PR, and then now she's at like a different company on like the talent side. But she's amazing. And literally, I was just with her the other night, and she was like talking about all the things. She brought her boyfriend to Minnesota for the first time, and my boyfriend was talking to her boyfriend, being like, "What did you do there?" Because we're all like, my boyfriend and me and her boyfriend are all Jersey people.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, we like went to the movies one day and then like went to dinner and there was nothing else.
Like, I love Minnesota, but coming from like Jersey, Manhattan, it's a culture shock.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, like my boyfriend, he went because he's from like Westchester, Brewster, New York.
Yeah.
And he was like, "It's cute. It's really cute." And I was like, "Shut up."
Yeah, like fuck off. It's cute.
I'm like, "It's no New York City."
Bitch. Is your whole family still there?
No, my mom and dad live in Florida now,
Okay,
and my brother's
that's
in
nice.
San Francisco.
Okay, that's a nice. Everyone got out.
Yes, like, and all my friends slowly leaving.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so much more, but it's one of those places where everyone around you's from there, and it's really hard to leave.
I know. I feel like when you're from a small town, everyone kind of comes back, or like they don't leave. They go to like a state school or something, and then get married and settle down.
Yeah. And I love it, but moving to New York was the best decision I've ever made, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. So most people know you obviously from your podcast, Mean Girl. How did you get there? Like, what was the buildup of like coming to Barstool and then like starting this podcast? How did it all begin?
Yeah, it was like crazy. So I'm like not kidding. I used to like I still do like manifest all the time, and I would write on post-it notes like, my dream is to move to New York City. My dream is to work at Barstool Sports, because I like loved Dave back then during his pizza reviews. And I listened to Call Her Daddy like when it first came out. So that's like that's how I got introduced to Barstool, was like I thought Dave just did pizza. And then there was like Schnit Talk with my old producer Alana. She was on it, and like Call Her Daddy. And I was like, this is the this is the only place that female podcasts can live. So
oh my God, that's a wild thing.
Right? I like very, very
all for females.
Very misled. But I was like, I want to work at Barstool, this or that. And then when I quit my job in May of 2021, And then I already had like my job here, but I was remote in Minnesota. Barstool held a talent search where they're like, we're looking for our next talent person. All you have to do is apply through TikToks. And since I was doing pop culture, I like applied, like I made like 8 videos a day and was just like applying.
Really?
And they reached out to me and they're like, you won the talent search. Can you, or like, they were like, you're in like the top 3 of the talent search. Can you come in and interview? And I was like, this is so wild because I'm actually moving to New York in 2 weeks. And they're like, okay, amazing. We'll do a phone interview with you now. And if you pass, we'll do an in-person interview when you move to New York. So I literally moved to New York. A week later, I had an in-person interview with them. And then a week later, I got the job. So I only worked the digital media job for 4 weeks in New York City.
Wow.
Yeah.
What were they saying to you when you were interviewing for the talent search? Like, what was your impression of what you were going to be doing?
So they are very much so like, once we hire you, it's kind of up to you to like find the creative, like get the work done. You don't really get like an editor or producer or anything until you start to get the numbers for them. So they were like, show up, make content, and grow your following.
Right.
So I started doing that for a few weeks, doing the pop culture stuff. So like pretty much what I was already doing, like in my bedroom, but instead at the office.
Yeah.
And then I met Alex. She was the first person to come up to me and talk to me at Barstool. And I did not like her because she was like very Oklahoma.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I moved to New York to get away from small town.
Like, please, not this again.
I was like, no, not for me.
Also, that's how the best friendships start. When
Literally.
you hate each other a little bit.
And she didn't like me either. She's like, this girl's fake. And I was like, this girl's fake. Because she's so nice. I was like, not a chance.
Oh my God.
And then we got into like kind of like a fight with Dave and his ex-girlfriend, Savannah. Do you want me to, I can go into like that whole story.
What?
So when I first started at Barstool, I also started a show called Blocked where I like talked to all the talent and I was like, tell me a time where a celebrity blocked you. Cause it was very funny. Like I had people like PFT come on and he was like, OJ Simpson blocked me, like very like funny things. And then I was like, I need some like female talent on, and there's not a lot of female talent there. So I was like, Alex, who's blocked you? And she's like, an influencer blocked me. Her name is We Wore What. She blocked Alex because Alex was commenting Photoshop on all her pictures. Because Alex was like, this is not okay.
Oh my God.
Like you're giving young females like not this like real life look at what you look like, because Alex had seen what she looked like in person. So she was like, Photoshop, which like we both agree was not the right way to go about it. Like she was young.
Not the commenting.
we were like, that's not
So she blocked her.
something to do. So she got blocked. So we talked about it. Long story short, we found out that We Were What is good friends with Savannah.
Okay.
So Savannah was like, Dave, you got to take down that video. Like, we can't have your employees like talking poorly about my friend. And which like, that was so okay. Like, we don't want any type of like hatred towards girls or your friends.
Yeah.
But the problem that spiked or that like came from that was Barstool never takes down anything, and they're like a very cutthroat environment.
Right.
So everyone around us was like, Dave, you can't tell them to take it down. This is old. Like, this is Barstool. Like, what are you doing? And then
God.
it just started like this massive blowout, huge like argument.
Who was commenting that?
Like
People in the office or followers?
followers and people in the office. Like there was like the guys were like trying to start drama and be like, Dave, this is Barstool. Like, this is not our Barstool, like this or that. Like, they were using it for content.
Right.
So like part of it was like very comical. Like, we were having a great time. And the other part was like, shit, like, does Dave actually hate us? Like, I'm scared.
God.
So we like kind of stood our ground and we're like, you've never had anyone take down content.
Right.
Why would we? And then he was like, fine, you don't have to take it down if you decide to like come out with a public statement of like telling the world like, I wanted you to, but you didn't want to. So we made a video, and then like it did well, and Dave was just like, you guys are mean girls. Like, just coined us as like the mean girls, when in reality we
You're
were
like
just
the two nicest girls. You're like these little Midwest, like
we were like,
you
okay,
just got to New York. You're like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing here.
and we had so many people in our ear being like, stand your ground, like this is good content.
Yeah.
Because when you go to Barstool, you don't always know the line between reality and content.
Totally.
And after that, our manager was like, you guys have great chemistry. You need to like use this platform that Dave has given you that can go away like that to create a podcast because like back then people just created podcasts like all the time.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, he's like, you have a day to figure this out. So we sat in a room and we were like, let's just call it Mean Girl because it's funny. And we started the podcast like literally the next day, and then slowly pop culture kind of just faded out of my life.
Wow. That is so crazy how they gave you, it's such a short period of time when everything came up.
He's like, if you don't take advantage of this now, people are going to forget about this in 2 days.
So Dave was like encouraging too. And was your manager this like from Barstool, or was it an outside person?
No, so his name's Gaz. He's like he was like the second or third employee at Barstool. So he's like Dave's best friend. And so like when I say manager, I mean like also content there. And he was like, you guys have to take advantage of this.
Wow.
And we did.
Can you talk a little bit about that line of like what you said, where things are happening in real life, like drama is really happening in an office setting, but then it gets brought online and then other people get to speak on it. Can you talk about some other situations where that happened, or just what it's like working in an environment like that?
It's like very confusing and can really like mess with your brain, because you go in there and it's almost like a reality show where, yes, some of it is like very much so like amped up. They like try to like egg people on, but like a lot of it's real. Yeah. And like the stoolies or the other audience like doesn't always realize that it like messes with us. Yeah. Like I think they see it as real, or I don't really know anymore. Like my whole brain is like totally effed, or like I don't even know what's real in that world anymore. But it's so toxic because like you would go in and like this small beef would happen and people be like, this is so entertaining, this is so great. And you're like, but I actually have to like go home and deal with all the hatred. Right.
Like how do you not, and do you like talk, like someone that you have beef with in the office, then are you like dealing with it off camera, or is literally everything happening on camera? Like, are they following you with cameras in the office?
If there is any type of commotion, there's these people called they have stool scenes, and there's a few people in the office where it's their job to film everything, and next thing you know, a camera's being literally shoved in your face.
That's fucking insane.
It's insane. And
I mean, it's so smart from like a entertainment standpoint, but like I would never want to be in that environment.
Like not to ever compare it to like a summer house or anything, but the way I think of it, it's like you're shoved in a house. Yeah. And whenever there's drama, someone's coming through with the camera, and then or they'll be like save it for the camera, you guys, save it for the camera, and they'll get you like mic'd up.
Oh my god, you're like, fuck, I have something to say.
No, literally. And like there's other podcasts going on, so if there's drama, you'll be like dragged into the, like back in the day they had like a Sirius XM show where they would talk about it. And then Dave had the Dave Portnoy show. Right. So you'd be brought on, like, kind of without knowing.
I've seen, like, because I like, you see things on social media, so I always see, like, random ass people on other people's podcasts. Yes. And I'm like, there's, like, a group of people in here. Like, what is going on? Yeah. So that's what's happening. They're literally just getting randomly dragged in.
Yeah. And, like, I think it's changed a lot now because there's, like, the Chicago office, the New York office. Dave's... I think he lives in like Miami full time. Gotcha. But when I first started, it was kind of still like a little bit of the OG day where he was coming in the office and you wouldn't know like what was going to happen or what podcasts were going to be dragged into. Oh my God. Like I would get like a text sometimes and it'd be like KFC being like, come to my podcast right now, we got to talk about it. And you'd like run in there and it was chaos.
That is wild. Yeah. I'm sure you have like a lot of PTSD.
I do have PTSD. Like, I'm so grateful for the platform it gave me.
Of course.
But I also have a lot of therapy bills.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I would need fucking therapy after that.
Yes, especially like with all the Kelly. I think like the Kelly drama too was probably like the biggest thing where a lot of people thought it was like entertainment.
And I'm so sorry if you don't want to keep talking about this stuff and we can totally talk about something else. But it's so interesting because I've never talked about this with you before. What happened with that? Because I remember seeing it, and as someone that's like a loose follower, I guess you could say, of like the Barstool stuff, like I see it, but I don't really know what's going on. Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, so
who is she?
Her name's Kelly Keegs. She's like a Barstool blogger. Like that's like her biggest thing. Okay. She'll like write blogs. She's had a few shows here or there, but I don't think much is like stuck. And at the time, Mean Girl was the largest female show at Barstool, the largest grossing female show at Barstool. And I think it made a lot of people angry because in a year we went from the new girls to we were at like the team meetings or like the office meetings, and they'd be like, Barstool's the #1 girl singing female podcast. Barstool's gotten like 1 billion views, like praising us. Guys. And like it was, people thought we didn't deserve it, which was frustrating because like Alex and I put our heart and souls into that show. Like that was our entire life. But
that's just jealousy. That's jealousy because people who've been working for so long are like, how can you just come in here? But that fair is fair.
Yeah.
You guys did something right. That's why it was huge.
Yeah. And like the guys didn't care. It was just like Kelly seemed to have cared. So she wrote, so they like Barstool would clip a lot of our clips and put on the main page. Right. And they were like obviously like controversial, stupid things we would say because they wanted views. We never told them which clips we wanted posted. They had full access to our clip folder. So people just thought our show was stupid based off of like the one clip you would see. Right. Where like if you were an actual listener, you'd realize we talked about like mental health, like taboo topics, Alex's marriage, me being single in New York City. So Kelly, without being like an actual audience, was like, all these girls do is talk about like not washing their hands or like stupid stuff. And
meanwhile, that's like the 5 minutes a day that you're like talking about something funny.
Literally like you and your best girlfriend being like, oh my God, I didn't wash my hands, or like stupid girl talk. Like we all do it. And Kelly wrote like the nastiest blog ever about us pretty much. I think she like called us like the C word or something. Like just like I can't remember exactly. I never read it because it was like,
yeah, you're like, I don't need this.
But like, I remember Alex calling me just in tears being like, did you see what Kelly wrote about us? And I was like, not a chance. Like, I was like, this is not a big deal. I started reading it. I broke down in literal tears.
No way.
It was the worst thing ever. And then from there, the whole office just wanted us to like play into it and like go in and confront Kelly. And we were like, this like just crossed the line where Alex and I are not okay. We both were in like the lowest part mentally. No one understood what we were going through because they were like, you signed up for this, which like, yeah, but we were also getting like death threats.
Yeah, like that's, yeah. And so there's something to say about Barstool audience.
Yeah, they're so mean.
Like it's because I've had like people have posted stuff of me on like the Barstool accounts, and I've never been bullied so hard.
They're the incels, like the grossest human beings you can possibly think of.
Yep.
But like when you have men in your DMs, in your comments being like, you're trash, you should kill yourself.
Yeah.
After a while, you're like, okay, well, like maybe I should like rethink some of the things. And it just got so dark and bad. And Alex and I were like, we literally, this isn't fun for us anymore. Yeah. Kelly was just getting like a rise out of it. She thought it was funny. Dave was actually on our side, and he was like, what the, pretty much like, which was crazy. Like Dave Portnoy sided with us, but we still had incel men like coming for us. And everyone was like, praise Kelly, king, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, great, Kelly. Like you got a little fame for literally being the biggest bully out there.
Yeah.
And that was like a big thing where I was like, guys, this isn't fun anymore. This isn't reality. Like Alex and I's like mental health are not well. And then from there, we just stopped going in the office and then like slowly dwindled, and why we like parted our ways with Barstool.
So that is like why you guys ended up leaving, basically.
Yeah, like the narrative that like we just let them run with is like we were fired, but Alex and I like we had a plan to leave. We stopped going in the office. We stopped participating because like we were like, we don't want our show to be around this.
Yeah.
We don't want incels being our listener base.
Yeah.
And like we're like our mental health just like isn't okay anymore.
And you already have the prize, which is your show.
Yeah.
Like what else do you need? Like why do you need to be bullied and be brought down with that?
Yeah, and Dave like let us keep the IP and the socials, which was so generous because Barstool technically owns everything. Yeah. So we were so grateful for that. We actually left on like really great terms with him. People think that we like all hate each other, but I like sat in his office and I was like, to him and Erica both, I was like, thank you for everything you've given me. And they were like so kind to me when I left, and they were like, let us know if you need anything. And we just like parted ways.
Yeah.
But everyone thinks like we were like screaming and yelling and like it was like this nasty fight.
Even from me, like just not even knowing a lot, I felt like that was the narrative that I like had an idea of.
He announced it and I literally walked into his office and I was like, hi, I just heard that I was fired. Can I talk to you? And he was like, yeah, let's go talk to Erica.
Oh my God.
And us, we were in the office together, and I was literally like, thank you. I'm so appreciative of everything. And he was like, you guys were great to work with. It's just like, you're not a fit anymore here. Let's just part ways peacefully. Yeah. And Erica was so kind as well. And we're like, thank you.
Good. Because it's exactly what, like, as cordial as you can be, that's like the best way, I feel like, to part ways.
And like, it sucks because like some of their shows like still talk crap about us. And like, I'm like, you guys you're still relevant.
Like
in their lives.
Stay obsessed. And stay obsessed, please.
And I'm like, I've never been happier. I know Alex hasn't either. Like, she's like I think she's like having her baby right now as we speak.
No
actually.
way.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
that's
it's
so
like
exciting.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge coming out of that and going off on your own?
I think like the biggest challenge was getting away from the Stoolie audience and finding like a new female audience because the name of our podcast like definitely has some negative tone around. Like people are like, why is it Mean Girls? Are you mean? And we're like, no, it's like a play off word. It's from what Dave called us.
Yeah.
So like finding a new audience, and then obviously too like not having the support of like this mega media house behind us. And like kind of just finding our identities again.
Yeah.
Like we were known as like Barstool Girls, Mean Girl at Barstool, and now we need to be like Jordyn and Alex who do the podcast called like, Mean Girl.
How do you even navigate that? Like on your own personal socials too? Like
I'm still navigating it. Like I definitely have like plateaued on my socials because I'm still trying to like weed out the stoolies and like find this new female audience that like I want to continue growing with. So it's hard.
Do you find yourself ever wanting to get back into like pop culture? Where do you see like what you talk about? Where do you see that going? Yeah,
I thought about it. Was funny. I actually like had this conversation with Pete, my boyfriend, like a month ago because I was having like an identity crisis because I was like, well, pop culture is how I got my following. Maybe that's like all I'm good at. And he was like, no. Like, why did you stop doing pop culture? And I was like, that was also bad for my mental health. Like, I didn't enjoy talking about people.
Yeah.
Especially like being somebody who was talked about and how negative it affected me. I was like, I don't want to like I don't want to bring light to other people's problems.
Of course. And it's like it's this weird place where you're always constantly thinking of other people and other drama.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of an unhealthy mental space to be in where like that's your job. Like I can't imagine people who like do this for a living, like where they're just talking about that all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And also too, I started to like get to know the people I was talking about, and I was like, wait, these are like real human beings.
Yeah, it's so true.
Where I was, because like I had met Heidi D'Amelio and Dixie, and I was like, I have literally caused, not that I always try to be very positive with like the pop culture I was talking about, but I'm like, I like help bring light to your problems, and I'm like, this just isn't fun anymore.
Yeah,
it's just mean.
Yeah, especially with influencers too, because it's hard because there's like this weird line, like some people see them as celebrities, but then for us, we just see it as like it's like our peers kind of. So it's like such a weird place to be in.
And especially because like influencers like you or Hallie, like you guys are becoming like the famous people of the internet in New York. So to see people like trash you guys or like talk about drama, it's just like, I'm like, I've met these girls. Like I don't ever want to be a reason why more people talk about the problems in their life.
Right. It's so true. But it's hard. But now I feel like you talk about relationship stuff a lot, which I really like, and like friendship stuff. So I feel like that's a good place to be in.
Yeah.
Where you're helping.
It's hard to find your niche on social media.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like there's not even a niche.
Yeah.
Like I constantly flip around where I'm like talking about fashion, then I'm giving advice, and like, yes, like the more niche people say, like the faster you can grow, but I'm not willing to like do that. Like I want to like be able to talk about everything that I love to talk about.
Yeah. And it's like whatever is happening in your life. Like when you're single, you want to talk about like dating advice, but then when you get a boyfriend, you're like, you want to show boyfriend content. And it's just like, it's like people want to put you in a box, but you're like, I don't want to. I just want to like share my life.
I know.
Yeah.
It's really tough. So we have to talk about your boyfriend, obviously.
Yes.
You were single and you talked about it for how long were you single for?
was single for 5 years.
Okay. So you're like the same as me.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I want to ask you about your boyfriend too, but you won't show his face on social media.
I know, but I'll show you. I'll show you all the content after.
Okay, good.
Saving.
I've been dying. I'm like, who is this man?
I know. People like come up to me in person or like, so when's the reveal? I'm like, just like be patient, like chill.
Do you have an idea of when you're gonna?
No.
I love this.
No, I have no idea. I'm like loving, like, I just don't, like, I don't know. I think because I had to, like, Hallie and Jazz, they both were opposite of me in the way that I was like, if I ever get a boyfriend, I'm gonna like launch him so fast. Like, I'm gonna be so excited. And they were always like, when we get a boyfriend, we're like never gonna show him. And then they ended up getting boyfriends, both of them, and then showing them on social media. And I saw like the positive and the negative sides of it. And I think it really, and I'm sorry to them that they had to be my learning lesson, and I love them, but it's hard. Like, it made me want to protect my peace more.
Especially when they don't work in social media. Because I assume your boyfriend doesn't.
No.
So it's like.
No, he doesn't even have TikTok.
Like, I hate when people are like, but they chose to date you. But it's like, yeah, but they didn't sign up to be trashed online.
Yeah. And they always think that it's going to be fine, but then they don't know until they experience the hate. Like, you just don't know until you actually experience it. And you're like, oh, it does suck. So anyways, need to hear about, so with your single life, like, were you choosing that, or like why? What was kind of going through your mind? What was like? I don't know.
It was like, so in Minnesota, all of my friends relationships. North Dakota, all of my friends married. Like, my best friend has 2 kids.
Yeah,
like, she's ready for her 3rd.
That's crazy.
And she started having kids when she was 25. Like, we're 29 now.
Yeah,
and so like that's all I was surrounded with.
Yeah.
And I had a boyfriend for 5 years. We lived together.
Oh wow.
But it was one of those things where he's the nicest guy in the entire world. But I was like, I either can make the choice of choosing not to settle and breaking up with him, or literally playing the normal Minnesota rule book.
That's such a good point you bring up, of like, so many people settle in relationships because they see the other people around them, or they hit a certain age and they just panic.
Yes.
So how did you like get out of that? Like, how were you, like, that's so tough to like, because I feel like a lot of people talk about not settling, but it's another thing to like actually choose to like up and leave and take the risk of, I'm going to be single for this period of time.
So it was like a mixture. It was part like going into an office every day and seeing just like so many unhappy people and like a lot of cheating, and just like, I mean, I worked with, like, I just was so, like, I got into this world of like, oh yeah, this person cheats on this person when they go on business trips, like they're like an office couple, and I'm just like, these are all unhappy marriages.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I feel so bad like how I broke up with my boyfriend of 5 years, because it was one of these things where I like didn't know how to verbalize my feelings, and it just like came out as word vomit. He thought everything was fine. For like 8 months I was struggling, being like, I don't want this anymore. And literally just one day I was like bawling, and he's like, why are you crying? And I was like, I don't want to be with you anymore.
Oh my God.
And he was like, where's this coming from? And I was like, I'm so sorry, I felt like this for like 8 months. I just didn't know how to verbalize it. And then he literally left, and I never saw him again.
That's crazy.
Because we had lived together and everything.
How did you even go about getting your shit? Like, how did you?
I think we texted, and his sister.
Like, you arranged for people to help.
Yeah, because like I wasn't going to live there anymore.
Yeah.
He obviously wasn't going to live there anymore. So I think he came with his like sisters, and they moved his stuff out. And then when he was done, I went with my mom and moved stuff out.
Wow.
Yeah.
If you could go back, like, for people that are kind of in that situation where they like know but it's like deep rooted in their brain, how do you navigate that? Like, if you could go back, how would you navigate it differently so that, or do you feel like it just, there was no other way it could have gone?
That's such a hard question, because I feel like I definitely could have verbalized it earlier, but I'm afraid if I would have, we would have kept trying to put Band-Aids over it, trying to fix all these problems, which great if you want to do that. But I think when you're 22 years old, if you're doubting your relationship, break up.
Totally.
There's so many people out there that you'll meet. So yeah, I could have verbalized it, but I think it would have just extended it for maybe another year.
Yeah.
And then that like word vomit of I want to break up would come out.
Yeah, like it's almost like you waited until it boiled over, but then at least you knew it was the breaking point.
Or we'd be like the altar, and I'd be like, I can't marry you. I'm sorry.
It's like Love Is Blind.
Literally,
you're like, actually no.
Literally.
No for me.
So I'm so grateful with how everything happened. I wish you would have known it was coming.
Yeah,
but it's like, how do you? I don't know how you.
That's the thing. I feel like in my life too, everything happens for a reason. I feel like the way things come out are the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
And that like it's about what you do next. Like it's always about what you do next.
Yeah. And we didn't even want the same things. Like my dream was New York City. His dream was white picket fence, 4 kids by 30, living next to his family.
Wow.
So like at the end of the day, like we both
were burying probably. Yeah, because he would have known that too.
Yeah, and now he's so happy. He's living like what I would see or what I think to be his dream life. Like, really? I'm so happy. So it happened for the best.
Of course, it always does.
Yeah, but I was like 22. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's too young.
Too young.
I was just watching. Have you been watching the Mormon show?
Every episode in like 2 days.
It's great. So it is so crazy. And then I forget that these people have 3 kids and they're like literally 22, 24.
Layla's like divorced, 2 kids. She just turned 22.
It's like they don't even know themselves.
No.
They all talk about how they can't have an orgasm or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's because you like literally haven't had sex or like experienced life. Like, yeah. It's a great thing to be able to like have a breakup at 22 and then have a full life in your 20s of like discovering yourself.
Oh my God, if I could give advice to anyone, it'd be like, don't date your future husband until you're like 25 if you can hold off.
Yeah, literally.
Or older, like 28, 29.
Yeah. I talked to my current boyfriend now and he's like, I'm so glad that I didn't meet you a second earlier because he was not, especially with men too, they need time to develop. Like they're immature as fuck.
How old is he?
He's almost 31.
Oh, Pete just turned 31.
Okay.
Great age.
No,
literally. Yeah. Great age. Because are you my age? Are you 29?
No, I'm 20. I just turned 20. Well, now not just anymore, but in May I turned 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great age for them.
Yeah. It's like the perfect age. And I feel like I prefer to be younger because we are always this like maturity level. You need someone older so that you can kind of be even. And still we're like more mature half the time anyways, emotionally.
I was going to say like 31 is us when we were like 25.
Yeah. Literally, like it's crazy. Yeah, my boyfriend always says he's like at 25, at 26, like if you had met me, he was like, I was not.
No,
they develop so much, especially like men in their 30s. It's, I feel like so much better.
Oh my God, yeah. I probably wouldn't have fallen for Pete if he was 25 because he was like, I was still going out partying, like being an idiot, and I'm like, I'm
not ready to commit to anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. What did you do during your like single years and how were you dating?
I like serial dated.
Really?
Like that's the thing too. It's like people are always like, oh, you're so lucky you met Pete, blah, blah. I'm like, I put in so much effort.
So you were one of those?
Yes. I have gone on so many dates. Wow. I have dated the worst men. Like my friends used to make fun of me and they were like, you only date horrible men. Like, there's so many guys where my friends would meet and they're like, he's horrible. Are you blind?
Oh my God.
Like, I dated narcissists, assholes.
Really?
Like the worst of the worst.
Really? Where were you meeting them? Like on apps?
Yeah, mainly Hinge.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever really met anyone organic.
Isn't it weird that doesn't happen anymore?
Yeah.
Like it's so like I assume you used to like go out to bars and like that's where you thought you were gonna meet people. Like every night I would be out at a bar being like, this is my night, like I'm gonna meet my husband here. And no,
never.
The men in New York, like you're not meeting your husband out at 12 or 1 a.m.
No.
At a bar.
Or you meet a guy, he takes you home and you're like text friends like, I met the love of my life.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you never talk to him again.
Oh my God. I could say the amount of times that's happened to me, it's crazy.
Literally same. But like, I think in the back of my head, I always was like, until I got closer to Pete, I was like, I don't actually want a relationship yet, but I would still date. But like my energy could like put off where I was like, I don't actually want to date or have a serious relationship yet. Because especially coming to New York, I was like, I want to be single for at least my first, if not my second year here, because I want to like meet friends and do my career and stuff.
It's so crazy how that happens too. Like your energy shows everything. Because there was a long time where I like thought I was ready, or I was like, maybe it'll happen to me when I'm like not ready, but then it just happens and you become ready. Yeah. But it's so true. Like there's a difference in your energy where you're actually ready for a relationship and like what you put out and the choices that you make.
Yes.
Because I would make terrible choices before.
Horrible choices.
Like, and I like thought I was ready for a relationship.
I would pick guys that like didn't even live in the same state. My friends are like, you are doing that
That's
because
classic.
you don't want to commit.
Oh my God, you remind me of my best friend so much right now. Like that, like she is so much like that. Literally, she's seeing a guy from a different state. I'm like, just pick someone here.
Literally.
Pick someone here. It's not that hard.
I always met guys when I was traveling and my friends were like, that's because like your body knows you don't want to commit.
Yeah. I
like,
dated a guy that was like in Austin. Like he was like, yeah, I travel back and forth to Austin. I'm like, it's fine. My manager lives in Austin. Girl, you go to Austin once a year. Like,
right?
You're not going there.
I literally started dating this guy from Dallas and my friends are like, in what world would you ever move then? I was like, we'll find a way to make it work.
I honestly though, there's something to say about a Texas guy.
Yes,
I do love the men in Texas.
This man was horrible, but
okay, I'm just kidding.
But I will say, like, if you want a husband, move to Texas because like they want a wife. Girls,
yeah, they do. And like for me, like being Jewish, I like would go to Austin and put my hinge on like Jewish there, and for some reason, there's like a lot of randomly Jewish guys in Austin, like and really nice guys. They all want to settle down because everyone around them is like married.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So then how did you meet Pete? You met him on Hinge, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
So which I like literally always was like, I'm never going to meet my boyfriend on Hinge. Same. Wait, did you meet Youre?
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Why did I think he was like a good guy friend of yours?
No, because I have so many guy friends that I always post and everyone's like, is it your guy friends? I'm like, no.
I love a Hinge success story.
Friends. Yeah, it's I literally was like, I'll never meet my person. Yeah, I met him on Hinge.
Yep.
It's fine.
I remember because when I was in therapy, or I still am in therapy, but when in the beginning of last year, her and I started to work on like understanding like my worth and what I really deserve in a person. And with the work we put in, like actually understanding like what I need and truly deserve. Because I was letting men just like walk all over me, treat me like crap. And then when I stopped putting up with it and like allowing men to just treat me so poorly, there was like a major shift in the guys I was dating. Like I remember I went from dating the worst guys to all of a sudden I was dating like 3 guys like right before Pete, where my friends were like, these are like actually like pretty decent guys.
It's crazy when you like actually shift your priorities and like your values.
Yeah.
What were like some of the things that you were like, okay, this is a non-negotiable?
It was like respecting my time. That was a big one. Like if they wanted to see me, it couldn't be like like I remember one of the guys was like, hey, do you want to hang out today? And this was like very early on. And I was like, no, like if you want to hang out with me,
we need to like plan it a week in it. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm busy. Like I didn't even have plans that day, but I was like,
that's a thing too. It's so important that even if you don't have plans, make them literally like plan it a week in advance or even like a few days at least.
Yeah. And like that's why it's so important to feel fulfilled in other ways. So like you're not, because I used to be like, wait, I can't spend time alone. I'd rather just like spend time with the guy even if he treats me like crap than spend time alone. But then like the more I felt like I deserved a lot, I was like, I'm good at staying home and reading instead.
How did you get there though? Like,
oh my God.
Because that's hard. I feel like a lot of girls struggle with that of like feeling like I can't be alone.
Like a lot of therapy. Like I know that's like such an easy answer, but like so much therapy. Like we would do all these like practices of like figuring out why I didn't feel like I was enough or like why I didn't feel like I was worthy.
What was going on internally? Like why were you feeling that way?
I think just like all of the like how guys mistreated me in the past, all of that. Like I was in one relationship for like a year that was just really toxic. And I think that just destroyed like my ego, my worth, everything. So like building that back up and like and also like the commitment issues that came with that, like my attachment styles, like I was so anxious and avoidant and like even like goes back to like your parents, like so much stuff. And then like also during that time I started to try to like find hobbies and get involved in a lot of things. Like I was saying yes to everything. I was trying to meet new people, trying to get involved in like different things just to keep my calendar busy. So I wasn't just like defaulting to being available for these men.
Yeah. Obviously you had a lot of time to like then spend alone as you're like figuring out yourself. Yeah. So then is that how you figured out kind of like the values that you wanted in someone else?
Yeah. So I think what happened was like I transitioned from dating for not entertainment in the sense of like, oh my God, this is just for like the stories, but more so like I was just dating with no intention to dating with intention and like dating to actually meet my future husband.
Yeah.
So I was using my dates as like educational, where I was like, do I want this in my future partner? Like, can I see this in my future husband? And then I met Pete, and he was like checking off every box. It's almost like he had like secretly read like my manifestation notebook of like the perfect boyfriend. Yep. And he just like was one of the few people who never made me anxious. He was so respectful of my time. He was so kind, like literally checked every box I could have in a human. And it was just like I fell fast, but not in like a love bombing way, of course.
Yeah, everyone's talking. It's so funny. Do you see the trend that's like cat to the song Casual? Like on TikTok.
I did that trend, yes.
Wait, did you do it about how you weren't casual?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay, because we were not casual too. Talk about that. Like, make me feel better.
No, literally, it was like one of those things where I'm like, I really shouldn't.
But it's happening.
But it's happening where like, I think after like 4 weeks, we became boyfriend, girlfriend. After like 5 weeks, we said we loved each other. And then I moved in with him under like 10 months.
Wow.
So we lived together, and I moved in like June, and our 1 year was August.
Wow.
End of August, like practically September.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
On that first date, what were like some of the conversations you had, or like some of the things that he said that you were like, oh, like I definitely want to keep seeing this person, or like I want to date this person?
So it's funny, like on our first date, like in the beginning, I was kind of like, I don't know. And then towards the end, I was like, oh my gosh. But I really liked how he was so honest about, he was like, I know who you are. I think it's so cool what you do, versus like, I've gone on dates with guys who are like, oh, I had no idea you work at Barstool. That's cool. And then like you go to their following, and they're following every single person.
Except you.
Except me. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, come on.
Or they'll be like, oh, that's cool. But like he was so nice about it. And he was like, do you care if I like ask you questions? Like just genuine.
Yeah.
And one of like the selling points for him was, I remember at the end of the date, we were in the elevator going down, and these like 2 or 3 very old drunk men came in, and they made me feel super uncomfortable. And like he just kind of like took his arm and like protected me. Aww. And just like a little thing like that, where I was like, he made me feel safe. And I was like, I've not felt safe with a man in so long, where I was like, oh my God.
Isn't that such a weird concept too, where like you're so used to men just like disappointing you.
Yes.
And then like a guy finally does something nice, and you're like, wait, what? Like it's almost hard to accept or like wrap your head around.
Yes. And I remember when he dropped me off, I started getting so flustered because I was moving, and not in a cute way. It was because I was moving that Thursday. So we went on a date like on a Tuesday. I was moving on Thursday. You know how stressful it is to move.
Yeah.
And he was like, when can I see you next? And I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, I'm moving this weekend, and then like next week I'm just gonna be a mess because I'm moving. And I was like word vomiting like my schedule out loud, and he was like, okay, so you just never want to see me again. And then he dropped me off, and I remember walking up the stairs being like, Jordyn, that was so mean. Like, why did you do that? So I texted him like this long text about how I'm so sorry. Like, I really do want to see you again, blah, blah, blah. And then I remember sending it, then thinking like, okay, Jordyn, don't act so easy. Like, stop. What are you doing? So I edited the message, and it was like, had so much fun. Thanks. And I didn't know you could read edited messages at the time.
Like you could see the old,
So he like read it, and he was like, what is this girl on? Like, what is going on? And we ended up going on a second date, and a third and fourth, obviously. But I think on like the third or fourth date, he was like, so I just want to let you know, like, I read your edited text, and what was that about? Like, I'm so
You're
sorry.
You're like, please unread it and unlearn it.
No, literally, I was like, sorry.
Immediately.
I was trying to play hard to get a little bit.
It didn't work.
Didn't work at all.
It's so funny, though, how, like, you can literally do anything, but if it's, like, the right person for you, like, they're not gonna care.
Exactly.
Like, I'm pretty sure on I was like joking when I was like a little drunk on my second date with my boyfriend. And I literally told him, I was like I said something like, are you like kidnapping me right now? Because he was like surprising me. We were like doing 2 stops. Like we were doing like a surprise date. And the second stop was like, we were going uptown. And I was like, wait, like, are you kidnapping me? But like kind of hot. That is so fucking criminal. Like, and he was like, that was really weird that you said that.
Like, no.
Like,
okay.
You're lucky I really liked you because you could have said anything and it was like kind of cute.
Right.
Like, that's so creepy and weird that you said that.
It seriously is such about timing. Like, if both people are on the same page, you're so right. Like, you could literally do something so cringe.
Yeah,
and
it
they're
doesn't matter.
But I still just like you because I'm in the place to like meet my person.
I know. How do you guys feel? Like, how do you feel like you could like describe your relationship? Like, what is it like silly? Like, what are you guys like together? Like, what is the dynamic?
We're like very silly. I would say like more like behind closed doors because Pete's like, he's such like I always say he's like a man of few words. Like
quiet confidence kind of.
Yes.
Vibes?
Like
Okay.
if you met him, he could talk to you all night long. Yeah. But he's not going to be someone who is like dancing on tables in the middle of the dance floor.
Yeah.
And he's like very thoughtful. But when it's just him and I, like we're just like silly, goofy.
I love that.
And he's just like my favorite person to spend time with. Like if I do anything, I'm like, I just want Pete next to me. Not like, and I just want to, like, he's one of the few people where I never get sick of.
Mm-hmm. And that's like another thing too. I feel like in the past, when you're like going through like a relationship with someone that you're not meant to be with, you can feel like you don't always want to be with them.
Yes.
And you can feel like you need breaks. And I think that's the thing that's been different for me too about my current relationship. But it's also early, so maybe that'll change. I don't know. But it's like that same feeling where you're like, oh, I never get sick of this person. You can always like be around them.
How long have you guys been together?
Only like a couple months.
I feel like you guys, it's been so much longer.
Everyone says that. We met literally in like the end of June, or like no, like we met in like June.
Because when did you post your TikTok? Kind of like the first
hinting. Yeah. Might have been like beginning of August.
Okay,
maybe?
so it was, you waited a couple months.
I waited like a month maybe.
I love that so much.
I like kind of hinted at things like very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it moved fast. Like
yeah.
It moved quickly.
Also,
what about you? When did you like, when and how did you decide to launch the situation on social?
So we were official at the end of August and we decided to have him on one of the episodes of Mean Girl we had like a live show and he came up to answer questions, like do a little game. And we both were like, is it okay if we wait until the episode comes out to announce it? So I had to wait until like October.
Wow.
And I remember I just wanted to tell the world I had a boyfriend so badly.
So you never even said I have a boyfriend. You literally like, you as far as everyone knew, you were single.
Yeah, I would say, I would like make like little comments like, I'm seeing a guy I really like, or like a guy I really like, or I'm dating a guy I really like. Like it would be very like singular. I would never be like guys I'm dating.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, I've never wanted to like share with the world like about a guy, and I was like, I just want the whole world to know I'm taken and I'm like wifed up practically.
Oh my God, love.
Because in the past I was like, I'm never gonna show him online, and now I'm like, do you want to be in a video?
I know. You're like proud of it. It's hard. I feel that. I know. I like feel that way too, for sure.
But I'm also so protective because I'm like, don't read the comments, please, because people are so mean.
I know. Have people been like that, or has it been mostly fine?
I mean, like all the girls so loving, but like of course you have those nasty men who are like, you guys suck, or like, and it's just like, go away.
Do you still like, what's your following like ratio? Like, do you still have a lot of those guys that are left over from?
I do, and I like go on blocking tangents where I like,
I love that.
I'll block like 100 people at a time.
Freeing.
And it's no, literally I'm like, I hate you, block. Like I'm like, I have the power, I'm gonna block you. And it's always like these men with no profile picture.
No, they live in their parents' basement.
Literally. Or like a man with like his wife and kids in the picture.
And you're like, I'm going to tell your wife what you're saying.
Literally. But no, it's definitely gotten better. Like I'm 50% of the way there, but it's hard.
I know.
Because there's so many of them.
I know. The guys are always the worst with that stuff. I like can't understand why they're doing it.
I'm like, if I ever dated someone and I found out that they were like a troll,
oh, done.
I would break up with you in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Anyone, even like none of my friends are trolls. Like who's trolling? Like
right?
who is it? You've got to be weird because none of my friends do that shit.
Or if they had like a Reddit thread,
yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah,
I'm done. Like
yeah,
I
that's
can't.
weird as fuck.
It's so weird.
Like when I find out this weekend actually, a friend of mine, like an influencer friend, texted me and she was like, I just found out, and sent me a profile of someone who like had like a following, and she's like, just found out that this girl is a big Redditor. Block her because she's posting about you, me, and all of our friends. And I was like, that's so fucking weird. Like,
so
not
weird.
only to be like a person that you like think is normal, but then to like have a following and to be like going on Reddit tangents.
That's creepy.
So creepy.
And I'm like, why are you so insecure?
Yeah. No life. It's actually whack.
That was always my biggest fear. Like if I ever found out that like my boyfriend was secretly a troll, I'm like, I have to break up with you. Like that's so gross.
They're closeted, but like as an internet troll.
Literally. As like a top like can you follow people on Reddit? Like a top followed Reddit person?
Probably, yeah. I would assume so. Every time I even see it downloaded on someone's phone, I get really scared.
No, literally.
It's my trigger word.
I'm like, if you go onto Reddit and it doesn't say like, would you rather download the app? I'm like, I can't talk to you.
No. I was on my mom's phone yesterday and it was on her phone. I'm like, why do you have this?
Like, don't do it.
I know you're stalking threads about me.
No, literally. Like one of our coworkers, she will like scan Reddit. And I'm like, don't tell me.
Don't say it. I know. It's like a rule with my like other influencer friends. I'm like, we can't talk about it.
No, it's something you never open.
So bad. Okay, we need to do a final question of like piece of advice for the girlies who are chronically single.
Okay.
Because we've both been there.
Yes.
What is like your best advice now looking back on single life and being in a relationship? Like what is your best piece of advice for someone?
Oh God, that's a great question. I think like, I don't want to say like never, I guess you wouldn't be settling if you're single. I would say like get on the dating apps and just keep dating. Like unfortunately it's such a numbers game, and I wish, I mean I had to put in the work to meet people, but like so many people just expect to wake up and like meet their person. I'm like, I went on 100 dates to meet one great guy.
Yeah.
Like don't, and like also like use every date as like a fun experience, like trying a great restaurant, having like do it for the plot, like so you can tell your girls afterwards.
Totally.
Like just don't be so hard on yourself, because dating can actually be super fun, and like you can meet some really cool people with it and have really funny stories. So just like don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
And I know plenty of girls who are like in their 30s and then still single, and it's like you'll find your person.
Yeah. And I also look back, even though like it's so new for me, and the biggest thing I have thought to myself is like I'll be out with my boyfriend on a Friday night and I'll see a group of girls out like single, and like they don't know where the rest of their night is gonna go, and I'm like, that is so fun. And like I still have my girls' nights. It's amazing. But there's something to be said about when you don't have a boyfriend and when you're single and when you like don't know where your future is gonna go yet, and like you can just live in the moment.
Yeah.
Like I just think that's such a fun, like you should embrace every moment of that.
I agree. Being single in New York for my first 2 years was the most fun I've ever had. And now being in a relationship in New York, it's also been like the most fun. Like being
it's
single
just different.
Can be a blast.
Yeah, it totally can be. Oh, and then I had one other thing that I forgot to ask you also. How do you balance? Like, how do you balance being in a relationship with maintaining your friendships, maintaining your work, maintaining everything? Because especially in the beginning, I'm asking this for myself. Sorry guys. In the beginning, it's really hard. Like, I feel like you're in a relationship bubble, and my friends are my priority. Obviously, my work is my priority, but it's hard when you feel like your relationship becomes like, and everything else drowns out a little bit.
That's like something I'm working on in therapy probably the most now, because I put so much pressure on myself to make both such a priority. But like, of course, I know it's been a year, but like I'm still in the honeymoon stage of like wanting to be with Pete all the time.
Of course.
And I'm like actually very introverted, where I would much rather just like stay home with him than like go out with a big group of people. So like, of course, like I'm like always picking that as what I want to do, but I try to see my girlfriends once a week. And if like I can't make the weekend work, it's always like a weekday. That's the beauty of New York. Like every day is kind of like the same type of day. And now that I live with Pete, it's a lot easier, but that was always my priority. It was like friends once, boyfriend like all the other days.
Yeah,
which I know is
all
like,
the other days.
Like I used to be so hard on myself. I know that's like probably not the best answer, but my therapist was like, Jordyn, like people are put on this earth to find their partner, and yes, we love our friends, but if you don't prioritize your relationship, you will be that person who one day you'll wake up and all your friends will be in relationships, and then you won't have that relationship.
Yeah. And I think also like any friends can, like any good friend will be understanding of the fact that there's maybe going to be a bit of an imbalance in the beginning, but it also is so important to prioritize the friendships too, because like they have gotten me through like everything. Yeah. And my other relationships, and God forbid, like I think men like do come and go, and like you just never know what's gonna happen. Yeah. And it's so important to like always have your friends. And the best thing I think for me has been my friends that are in relationships double dating. Double date, yeah. It's been so great.
Bring them all together. Yeah. I also too like have a rule: whoever asks me first, grandfathered in. Like I'll never blow my friends off for my boyfriend.
Yes. So important.
Never. Like it doesn't matter what it is. Like even my boyfriend was like, oh, my sister's birthday is this day. Can you come? And I was like, Friendsgiving's already on the calendar. That was first. Yeah. I'm going there. Yeah. So I always do that. But yeah, double dating. A lot of my friends are still single in New York, but I love a double date.
I know. It's so fun. And you make the guys be friends.
Right?
Like, yes. Go be friends. Me and Kit did that this past week, and we're like, okay, boys, go be friends now.
I feel like everyone's getting boyfriends, and it's just so fun to see.
Weird. But it's also, I feel like things go in phases. It's so weird. Like my sister will text me and be like, oh, I know like 4 people that just broke up all at the same time. Yeah. In school. It's like, I feel like it's always rotating. And like, if you're single, there will always be other single people for you to hang out with. If you're in a relationship, there will always be the relationship girlies that you can relate to. Like that's the beautiful thing about like living in a big city. Yeah. Like New York, like there's always someone.
And I think if you're single, it's like so okay to not like put your relationship friends on the back burner, but like go out and try to meet other single friends. Yeah. Like one of my best friends here told me that she's like, I love you and XYZ so much. My other friend has a boyfriend, but she was like, I might prioritize hanging out with other people for a while, because she's like, I need to find some single gals. And I was like, I love that you just had this conversation with me, because I respect that so much. And just know I'll always be that girl that will come with you. But sometimes they don't want to hang out with girls who have boyfriends. They just want to do their own thing.
Exactly. Because it's hard, and it's also a reminder. Yeah. And you want someone that you can just relate to and like can be your wingman. Yeah. And I did that for the last 7 years of my life.
Yeah, so, 5 years. I was
especially recently, like right before this, I was like, I need my single girlies. Yeah. So it's definitely important and helpful. Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me. And can we tell them that I'm coming on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when does this episode come out?
This episode will come out this week.
Okay. Yeah, so then Carly will be on Mean Girl as my co-host when Alex is on maternity leave. Yeah. In a week, I guess. This will come out next week, you said?
This will come out this Thursday.
Okay, so in a week and a half.
Yeah. Yes. So you guys can look out for that. And also tell everyone where they can find you.
Oh, yeah. So for the podcast, at Mean Girl Pod on every platform, and then at Jordyn Woodruff on every platform.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this video a rating and review, or this podcast a rating and review. Follow us on Instagram at Real with CW, and on TikTok at Real with Carly Weinstein. And we love you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. What a wonderful